Um, okay, so first of all, I just want to point out that there are some really big things that are happening right now in the world. And I think that if you are not paying attention to the macro as far as what's happening in big scale in the world around us, then then I just want to make sure that you're aware of what's happening. So first of all, I just want to say that this is not financial advice. This is just me sharing my opinion of what's happening. So first of all, what's the most important thing inside of our lives that we're always reaching for? And for most of us, I would say that that's freedom. And we live in a world that is not conducive to creating freedom for people. And so uh, what I want to dive into is I'm kind of dancing around it. But what's happening in the world right now? Big news. So today is February 15th, and big news is that the UK and Japan both just jumped out and said, "Hey, we are finally officially in a recession." So this may not seem like a big deal, but what's happening is happening on a global scale all the way around, and the some of the root causes is the Federal Reserve is printing billions, if not trillions of dollars almost on a daily basis right now. And this is going to impact all of us each at a very personal level. And so what I want to talk about is how can you protect yourself? How can you provide for the people that you care about? And how can you set yourself up to win in the future with what's coming? So back to the Federal Reserve, they are printing billions and trillions of dollars. Meanwhile, you're holding, say, $100 bill. Every time they print another $100, your $100 bill becomes worth less. And that's why when you look around at, say, real estate and housing prices in the United States and around the world, why you've seen the price of these things go up continually. The reason for that is not because those properties are increasing in value, it's because your dollar is becoming worth less. So your buying power is slowly being stripped away from you. And what I want to talk about is how do you protect that going into the future so that you can set yourself up to win and provide for the people that you care about. So that's kind of a big picture of what's happening while the Federal Reserve is printing this trillions and trillions of dollars. It's devaluing your money, and it's also impacting other countries that use the US dollar as the world reserve currency. So each one of these countries now is suffering because of what the Federal Reserve and the actions they're taking. That's why you're seeing the BRICS alliance, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and many other countries are moving to a currency that's outside of the United States dollar. So the people inside the United States, this really impacts them. So first of all, they want you, this system wants you numb and depressed. They want you feeling powerless and hopeless. And that's why they fill your life with distractions and all kinds of stuff to take your mind away from this. Because what's happening right now, the state of the world right now that we are living in, while we have electricity and we have some nice vehicles running around and we have, all these modern amenities, our standard of living is much less than what it was even 50 years ago. And it's rapidly declining. And so, what I want to talk about is how do you create this pocket of freedom where you live for yourself? And how do you escape this the best that you can? So, what's happening is this mechanism, this system that has been built around us is so big that for us to move away from it or to escape it, it's like trying to get out of the way of a massive snowball that's rolling right towards you or a tsunami. So, how do we free ourselves? That's the biggest thing. How do we free ourselves? And what has worked in the past historically is that you step outside and you build something new. And when we look at the world as far as what's available to us to step outside and build something new, that thing is Bitcoin. Now, I'm not talking about cryptocurrency. I'm not talking about Dogecoin. I'm not talking about any of that kind of stuff. What I'm talking about is completely separate. Bitcoin is a completely separate entity from all the other stuff. It is completely decentralized. That means that there is no one person that controls the currency. If you haven't looked into Bitcoin, and or maybe your mind instantly turns off when you hear that word, I want you just to take a minute and educate yourself on it because it can create potentially massive freedom for you and your family. So there's only going to ever be 21 million coins produced. What makes this so important is that the big institutions inside of the United States, global institutions like Vanguard and BlackRock are gobbling up the supply of Bitcoin while they're telling everybody that it's not worth the investment. Stay away from it. It's only drug traffickers and bad people that use it. Uh, while they are gobbling it up at almost twice the rate that new supply is coming in. So that means that it's projected, I think, within 4 to 6 months, that supply is going to be gone. Not only are they gobbling it up, but they are increasing the amount that they are buying every single day, which means there's less and less available for you. Why does this matter? Is that while the Federal Reserve is pumping out these trillions of dollars all the time, the amount of Bitcoin supply is slowly decreasing. So the USD is going up like this, and the Bitcoin supply is going like this. And so ultimately, if you want to protect and provide for yourself, look at what the value of Bitcoin has done, and then look at what the value of gold has done, or silver has done, or the amount that you can buy with $1. The value of Bitcoin is only going up. And so if you're interested in learning more about that, I highly recommend a book called The Bitcoin Standard. It'll help you get a grasp on the main foundation of understanding Bitcoin, and then also listening to some people like, say, Michael Saylor or Max Kaiser. Those are both people that are worth listening to if you want to understand more of what Bitcoin can do. The reason why I bring this up is that if you want to protect yourself in the future, if you want to be able to provide for your family in the future, you need something that isn't constantly being stripped of its value. You need something that's outside of the FDIC, that's outside the reach of the banks, because they are slowly stripping it. And then when they introduce this new CBDC, which is the central bank digital currency, which is currently being rolled out, and we're going to see it in no time, they're going to have absolute control over what you do with your money. That means that if you leave a certain zip code and try to buy fuel somewhere and they don't want you traveling because of carbon credits, they can turn off your money. So this is an ultimate tool of control for the society, and we need to find a way to escape it. And so for you in your own personal space, what that means is Bitcoin is going to be that thing that can pull you away from that, give you a store of value that cannot be touched by governments, cannot be taxed. It is yours and yours alone, and the fruits of your labor will always remain yours. So I highly recommend educating yourself more about that. So the next thing is that, so once you understand where you can put yourself as far as a store of value and how to protect that and watch that grow in value for you and your family, the next thing is, how do you provide a solution for yourself, and in that creating income inside of your life. Look, many of us are so busy right now taking care of kids or our lives, or our jobs, trying to continue to live and support ourselves, that it's hard to think outside of that. But what I want you to think about is, whenever there's a successful business, or something that creates value for a person, it's that that person is providing a solution to other people. And so if you have knowledge where you can provide solutions to solve people's problems, to take away their pain, to make them more comfortable, to make them laugh, then that is a potential business idea that you can expand on. So always look for ways that you can provide solutions to people. And then if you have an idea of how you can turn that into a business, then that is your step to creating wealth and revenue generation for yourself, so that you can provide and protect for the people that you care about. So so as we do that, now we're providing income for ourselves. We have a tool to move us outside of this financial infrastructure that has been built around us, that is slowly draining us of everything that we have. Now we have revenue. We have a way to move outside of that. Um, Now the next thing is, if we want to continue to move forward and create freedom for ourselves inside of our lives, create more revenue, to have that ability to do things that we want, is that we always need to continue to educate ourselves. And education is the first path to creating freedom inside of our lives. It's without that knowledge, we can't move to the next step of implementation. And so, whatever lights you up, whatever creates interest or draws you to it, that is the most important thing that you can be educating yourself about, because there is most likely a way that that's going to serve you in the future as you try to build something for yourself. So, people always say, like, it's schools and institutions, I don't believe in those anymore. What matters is how we educate ourselves. So there is so much information available at our fingertips that you can create something. And just as a side story, I didn't know anything about manufacturing pouches or manufacturing in general or e-commerce or making YouTube videos or talking to people. I didn't understand any of that stuff. And the way that I started doing them is I just started educating myself. First of all, how do you make a pouch? Like, what are effective ingredients? What are supplements that matter? And, each one of those things sometimes took 6 months to 2 years to 4 years to develop around, but they ultimately led to the creation of what FlowBlend is today. And I bring that up not to toot my own horn, but to let you know that every step that you take, every interest that you pursue ultimately will lead to something if you have the drive and the motivation. If we look outside in the world today, and I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and people who are in the influencer space, if most of them see something catastrophic or large happening in the future that's going to impact society in a very serious, significant way. It's going to ripple throughout generations to come. And so how we set ourselves up right now, the decisions that we make right now are extremely important for how we will live in the future. And the reason why I bring this up is that when we look into the future, if we see something big happening inside of the world, which I think most of us, you'd have to be blind not to see it right now, is that when we look into the future and we see something big happening, a lot of people give up hope. They ultimately lead to the side of like depression and loss and defeat. And that's the future that they see. And because we see that future of depression, loss, and defeat, now we stop making the decisions and taking the actions that will lead to our freedom. That means earning money, being wealthy, taking care of the people that we love. Those are all based on how we see the future. So instead of looking to the future and seeing something dark and depressing, if instead we can look to the future and say, ultimately, humanity, freedom is going to win, then what the decisions and the actions that we take right now are going to be tremendously different than if we allow ourselves to see that other future. So the reason why I spent time on that right now is that ultimately, if you want freedom, if you want to create that for yourself, one of the very first things you have to do is to get that negative shit out of your mind and focus on a positive and abundant future, and then take the decisions and actions that will lead to that. Because ultimately, that's all we have. We only have ourselves and ourselves alone that will ever be responsible for accomplishing the things inside of our lives. Nobody is coming to save us, and that's a difficult thing to grasp, but once you do, it's the ultimate first step to creating power within yourself, is that no one's coming to save you, and that ultimately we are responsible for our own success or failure. That means that if life isn't going the way that we want, while bad shit may have happened to us, uh, we have to be the ones that are going to rise above each one of those things that happened, those setbacks, the things that hurt, the things that pissed us off. We have to be the ones to step above that and continue moving forward if we want to create this future abundance and being able to provide for the people that we care about. That's the first one of the big things. So I think I'll finish with this. I just want to say, first of all, if you appreciate this video, please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already. I teach people how to build businesses, how to create freedom for themselves inside of their life through real world stuff. Like, how do you manufacture? How do you create labels for products? What's e-commerce, and how do you go about doing that? So I would say this is that, one, focus on harnessing your gifts, pursue what interests you, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to really build on your knowledge base. If you're not interested in it, then it's not going to resonate. So you have to start with what interests you and where you feel a natural passion. And after you build on that, after you take care of yourself and the people that you care about and provide for them, that's when you can go about having a larger reach and impacting more people. So I appreciate you guys listening to this. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them later. Until then, my friends, peace out.